You are sitting across from a stranger at a market in Marrakesh, maybe Ulaanbaatar, maybe somewhere older than both. The stranger is smiling. Their lips are pulled back, the teeth are showing, the cheeks are lifting in a way your brain has been trained to recognize for your entire life. And yet, something doesn't land. The warmth is missing. The offer they're making feels wrong before you even understand the words. You feel it in your skin before you feel it in your mind. A flicker, a hesitation. You think you know what just happened. You read the smile. You caught the lie. Congratulations. But that's not the real story. The real story is that your nervous system just performed an act of forensic anthropology in a quarter of a second. It cross-referenced this stranger's face against every smile you have ever seen in your whole life. And every smile your ancestors saw, and every smile their ancestors saw, and on backward into a darkness we cannot fully see. So the real question is not whether ancient humans could spot fake smiles. The real question is this: how did a creature with no written language, no photography, no psychology department develop a lie detector so precise that it still works on you today in a fluorescent lit co-working space, on a video call with someone 8,000 miles away? Think about what that means for a moment. A smile sounds small. It sounds biological. It sounds like an involuntary twitch of the zygomaticus major, the muscle most people would point to if asked which muscle makes us smile. But the truth is more layered than that. A real smile, a Duchenne smile, named for the 19th century French neurologist Guillaume Duchenne, who wired electrodes to the faces of dying men and listened to the muscles speak, engages a muscle you cannot consciously control. It is the orbicularis oculi, the ring around the eye socket. When this muscle fires with the mouth muscles, the eyes narrow. Crow's feet gather. The cheeks lift unevenly. The whole face becomes a single gesture. When you fake a smile, you cannot easily fake the eyes. You can stretch the lips, lift the cheeks at the corners, even summon convincing dimples. But that ring around the orbit stays quieter than it should. The body betrays a partial truth, and our eyes, ancient eyes, learn to read that betrayal before we ever name it. But here's the part most people miss. Ancient humans were not passive observers of faces. They were hunters, traders, exogamists who routinely had to leave their kin and walk into the territory of strangers. They could not afford to misjudge an alliance. They could not afford to marry into a family whose quiet uncle intended violence every time nobody was watching. They lived in a world with no police, no contracts, no federal trade commission. The currency of survival was the ability to look at a face and tell whether what it was offering could be trusted. Smile detection was not a curiosity. It was a survival tool. Imagine being wrong about a smile and not coming back home. That matters because it tells us where the skill came from. Not from books, not from language, from pressure, real pressure. The kind that ends in blood if you fail it. So the question becomes, how did ancient eyes, ancient nervous systems develop the capacity to read something as fine-grained as the activation pattern of a single muscle around the eye socket? Evolution does not build new modules from scratch. It wires what already exists. Ancient primates had faces that signaled threat, submission, affiliation, fear. They had color vision tuned to flush, to pallor, to blood under skin. They had peripheral vision sensitive to movement. They were already, in a real sense, face-reading machines long before any modern human walked the savannah. What changed was not the hardware, it was the load. Imagine a hunter-gatherer band of 40 or 60 people sitting around a fire every night for hundreds of thousands of years, watching each other argue, reconcile, mourn, lie, mate, deceive. That fire is the original laboratory. Every flicker of that flame is a tiny experiment on who can be trusted and who cannot. This is where the story shifts. You may think the ancient face reader was reading lips or teeth, the obvious parts of a smile. They weren't. They were reading the margins, the places where a face shows what a person did not sign off on. Slight asymmetries, a dryness around the eyes, the order in which different parts of the face move. A scientist will tell you today that we look at the eyes before the mouth when judging sincerity, even though most of us believe, wrongly, that we look at the mouth. We are not even conscious of what we are reading. We are running an old, fast instrument tuned by a million evenings around an old, fast flame. Now, here's the part where the meaning changes. This skill did not stop at smiles, it branched, it generalized. The same machinery that reads a fake smile also reads a forced handshake, the kind where the fingers do not fully close. It reads the timing of laughter, whether it lands too early, whether the breath matches the pitch. It reads posture, where weight settles on the feet, how the shoulders hold. It reads the angle of a chin and the rhythm of a blink. The ability to spot a fake smile was never really about smiles. It was a prototype for the entire human talent for detecting incongruity, the small crack between what a body is doing and what it means. And we have been getting better at it for at least the last 100,000 years. Modern research using still photographs and short video clips demonstrates that we can detect deceptive intent with accuracy well above chance in fractions of a second, sometimes without being able to explain how. But the deeper reframe comes now. And it is uncomfortable. If your face reading ability is ancient, it is also biased. It was tuned in small bands, looking at faces shaped by shared sun, shared diet, shared ancestry. It was tuned to read the in-group with frightening precision, and the out-group with less grace. The reason you sometimes feel you are reading someone correctly when you are not, the reason a face can feel warm to you while being deceptive, or cold while being honest, is not a failure of the technology. It is the technology doing exactly what it was built to do. It is optimized for the faces it grew up reading. Strangers, in a sense, are a kind of noise. And so are people whose facial muscle movements you have not been trained on, whose cultural patterns of polite expression differ from yours, whose restraint at a market is not deception, but courtesy. Ancient eyes are excellent, and ancient eyes are also slightly wrong in exactly the ways you would expect from a system built in the Pleistocene and now deployed in the Plaza de la Tecnología, where a person from across the planet is watching you on a screen held in their hand. And that changes everything. Because now the question is not whether ancient eyes could spot fake smiles. The question is what to do with a tool this old, this fast, this right, and you cannot turn it off. You cannot put it in a drawer until you have read more carefully. It runs automatically, below language, before reasoning in the time it takes light to reach your retina. And it will continue running when you are reading a dating profile, evaluating a politician, scanning a Zoom grid of faces, watching your own child practice a smile in the bathroom mirror. There is one more layer, and it gets personal. Every smile your face has ever made has been read by someone else with this same machinery. Every laugh you've offered in a meeting while feeling nothing has been weighed. Every reconciliation, every apology, every "I'm fine" has been processed by some ancient nervous system in someone who loves you, deciding in the dark whether to believe you. This is not a small thing. It means honesty is not only a moral category, it is a perceptual one. We are being read all the time by a machinery that punishes shallow performance and rewards whole-face presence. The reason a real Duchenne smile feels different to receive, even from a stranger, even across a noisy room, is that the person offering it did not curate it. The eyes joined the mouth. That is felt. That is remembered. And that is what the smile was for in a band around a fire, in a market under a tent, in a long-vanished world where it was the most reliable truth some people ever had. So here's what it costs you to imagine, for a moment, that final stranger in Marrakesh, or Ulaanbaatar, or anywhere the streets are crowded and the languages don't quite match. Their smile was not what you thought it was. It was not their lips, their teeth, their rehearsed warmth. It was the quiet negotiation between their eyes and their mouth, offered to your ancient eyes, recorded by your ancient eyes, decided in a fraction of a second your conscious mind will never fully trace. You took that record into your body. You felt it. And the next time you watch a face, anywhere, on any screen, in any century, you will be running the same software, the same inherited half-blind, half-brilliant instrument that one of your ancestors sharpened on a hillside while deciding whether to trust a stranger who would either feed them or leave them in the dirt. That is the inheritance. A face you read in a second. A skill 100,000 years old. A lie detector that still belongs to you. And the question, finally, is not whether ancient eyes could spot a fake smile. The question is whether yours can stop even for a moment and wonder what they have been quietly saying about every smile they have ever received.